Okay, my name is Anurag Sinha, and anyway, I want to talk about an incident on that happened to me like way back in 2005, like December 2nd, 2005. This incident, I think, is very weird, fascinating, cool, interesting, hard to believe, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if it's one of the most fascinating, interesting things of all time. Maybe it is, maybe not. I'm not sure. I mean, you can after I tell you guys about, tell the people, the viewers about it. You can leave comments on what you think about the incidents. Anyway, so I always wanted to know why they happened. I knew they happened because my memory is very good. I still remember this because it means it was so it's really something that's out of extraordinary. I think, but I did. So I contacted a few psychics recently, and one of them told me that they did happen and why they happened too. Before I tell you what happened, I'll tell you what happened on that day, December 2nd, 2005. A student and a teacher both stared at me in different classroom, and after that they both cried. I'll tell you, there was one teacher of mine. She sat next to me in one of my classes, and then she turned around, and I was sitting next to her. She stared at me for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and she got very sad. Like all of a sudden, she was very sad, and then she started crying. After 2 minutes of staring, I noticed this because I turned around once or twice. I noticed he was in tears. I asked her, "Can I go to the bathroom?" She's like, "Go, just go to me while God volunteers." And then I was gone, and then I did come. I didn't really have to go to the bathroom, but I just was confused what was going on. That's why I went there. And then a few hours later, there was another something like this happened. There was one girl in one of my classes that sat on opposite sides of the classroom facing me. So facing opposite sides facing it. We sat on opposite sides facing each other. I sat on the left side of the class and she on the right side. And anyways, she sat down, and our desks were like perfect face to face with each other. She sat down and then began staring at me in intensity with her hands folded into fists against her face. She stared at me for 2 3 minutes, and then she was gone for the whole hour. She got up and then she was in tears, like very sad, not crying like the teacher, but still pretty sad. Her eyes were wet. She asked the teacher if she could go to the bathroom, and she was gone the whole hour. Next hour, I had another class with the same girl, and I remember this time she sat in the back of the class, and I sat in the front, and on all the desks were like also like in the all the desks faced the board, the desk or whatever you call it that, and then she did say a comment about about me to another one of her friends, and I'll tell you what happened more and more. Here I asked the psychic if this happened, and then she tells me why it happened. I'll tell you what happened. Okay, December 2nd, 2005. I remember there was one teacher that sat next to me in one of my classes, and she turned around, and then after turning, like I remember I sat on, like she sat on the left side and me on the right side. She turned around and then began staring at me like this, and I noticed because I like turned around also for once or twice, and after staring at me for like intensity for like few like minute or 2 minutes, she got very sad and she began crying. I asked her if I can go to the bathroom. She told me just go, God, to me, volunteer. A few hours later, there was another student, a female student, a girl that was another class, and she sat on the opposite side of the class facing me. Like how we were sitting. And after she sat down, she began staring at me like this with intensity. And after for 2 or 3 minutes of staring like that, she also got very sad, and then she got up and asked the teacher if she could go to the bathroom. And I saw she was sad because I saw tears, and then she was gone the whole hour. And the next hour, that girl was in my another next class, and this time I sat in the back, and she sat in the front, and then she told one of her friends about me. God, he is serious. Like, I mean, I don't know but I'm just wondering, do you know if this really happened or not? Is it possible for you to find out if this happened?
It does look like it happened because something's coming up here that there's a connection. And whether it feels spiritual or not, that's what it says.
Okay.
So there is definitely a connection with those people.
Okay, so do you know why it happened? Because, I mean, hold on 1 second. I mean, so what was the reason why?
So this would look, and I'm going to try and explain this in a way that hopefully is understandable. You, for some reason, had like a light behind you that day. And it specifically shows that people who were aware spiritually of seeing that noticed it. So when that comes up and you're glowing, so you don't look any different to you. but they thought you looked different. You had a look in your face, something. And it's not that it made them sad, but it made them think. It made them think about themselves. And I don't see it being about you. They looked at you and you made them think about themselves. And sometimes that's hard to see. Sometimes that brings tears. Sometimes that's emotional. So you brought out emotions in others.
Okay, but what I just want to know is like, what did I make them feel about themselves? Because you said I made them feel something.
You did. It made them wonder if what they should be doing. This says that you brought out their fears and their doubts. So a lot of times when something like this happens and it's a spiritual kind of connection, we can't explain it. We have no explanation for it. It makes us think about what we're doing wrong, what we're scared of, what we should be doing better. And for some reason, you clicked that in them. And they thought, I could be doing this better. And it could be something simple. With the teacher, it looked like she was having doubts about what was going on at home. So she was upset about something that had happened at home in her family. And for some reason, when she looked at you, there's like a kindness in your eyes. It made her emotional. And she thought, I could be doing better. I should be doing better. So she wanted to be doing better, and she kind of started to get emotional about that. The girl is completely the opposite. The girl was her social life. And it does very much feel like in her social life, she was worried. She was having doubts and fears about her friendships. She was having doubts and fears about the people that she cared about, and that they may not like her in that way. It does look like she didn't know how to handle it, and she may have gotten sad at first, but then she kind of got a little bit, almost not angry, but just kind of like, well, I guess a little angry. There's a little bit of a temperament there. So at first she was emotional, and then it shows it bringing out almost kind of like a more aggressive side. Like she got upset.
Me?
No, just at what was going on.
Oh.
You brought that out in her, and she didn't know why at first. It would have been easy to blame you and say, that guy. But when she started to think about it, you had nothing to do with her friends. So it wasn't affecting you, you just brought out that thought. So what I guess I'm seeing here isn't that you were necessarily awoken, but maybe they were.
But what I'm saying is they stared at me both with intensity, including the girl like this for 2-3 minutes. And then the girl who went in the bathroom and she cried for an hour, and the next hour she told one of her friends, God, he is seriously hot. So I'm wondering why would she say that if so?
Because I think that she wasn't happy with the friends that she had and the people she was interested in.
So
she had a guy in her life that she didn't want anymore. So maybe you made her realize that.
Because she does say, God, he is so hot, whatever. So I'm just wondering why would she say that about?
Maybe she thought that.
Well, so was it my looks that made her cry?
Yeah, you looked. You had a special look that day, and that's what it shows here. That you kind of came in. You know, maybe you did your hair different. Maybe you wore something nice. Maybe maybe it was a smell. But twice you made somebody rethink about what was going on in their life. And the teacher wasn't looking at you in a way that she was attracted. She was thinking about her own life. But this girl, you were closer in age, I'm sure. So she would have thought about you and compared you to a boyfriend or somebody and then said, she's thinking hot. But really what I'm seeing is that you brought out the right emotions.
Well, she did like me then, and I also liked her.
Yeah.
But I just want to know do you think it's possible that if you look at someone you find too attractive, too appealing, something about them can make you cry? Maybe
it makes you emotional. Absolutely.
Yeah, because she cried and you know what's interesting is next. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm pausing this for a second. I'll be back. I'm just pausing this for a second. I'll be back. For someone she wanted in her family.
Yeah, that's exactly. It comes up as family.
Yeah. And she told me that two things, that the teacher cried because she wanted someone in her family, but as far as looks, she told me she found me a little appealing. The others but not that much.
You reminded her of someone, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's because when she went home, she wanted to make things better in her family. The teacher.
She wanted someone like me. But you know what's interesting is the other side, he told me it was both, but mainly she found me appealing, but also because she wanted someone in family like me. But she told me the main reason was because in family. And next year, I was in another class, and the teacher who had cried, met me in in the another class. We just ran into each other, and the teacher from this class asked that teacher who had cried, "Do you know who my name is? My name is Anurag. Anurag." And she asked, "Do you know who Anurag is?" And she replied, "Oh yes, I know him well. I know him very well indeed." Did this happen too?
It does look like she said that she knew you, because she did. I mean, you had been in her class. She was aware of you, and you held a special place in her heart. You remind her of something. When she saw you, it made her emotional. So yeah, she remembered. I mean, she definitely said that.
So you said it was some kind of kindness in my eyes.
Yeah.
So that day I looked extra appealing.
Yeah, you did. It just says that you had like a glow. It's like you were glowing. That's what I see. When I get that image that comes through, it's you sitting there, and it almost is like you're lit up. And people are drawn to you.
Well, here's the thing.
And it says it wasn't just those two.
Oh.
I actually see other people being drawn.
Who
but
else?
They didn't say anything.
Who else were there?
It looks like it was just kids in your class.
Oh.
It wasn't even. I don't even think it was those classes. I think it was outside of that.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. Because I also want to ask you is what do you what do you, when you see is it possible? Do you think what would they look like? Race, their nationality. Do you think it tells you in through the character?
I don't get details about race. What it tells me is whether